Breaking news coming out that Russian President Vladimir Putin has erupted, furious with what was said at the NATO meeting with President Joe Biden. Now, in addition to that, we're hearing now that Russia and China have united as of today, and they are now starting to do naval practices, military drills. And I'm going to be sharing with you the latest on this. Now, let's go ahead and cover the latest headlines. And as you guys know, this is going to be all linked in the description below so you can see the latest sources for this. And also, do me a favor, let me know in the comments if you can hear me and see me okay before I dive in, so that way I know everything is good. Back to my setup. We now have power here in Houston, so I'm able to access to my microphones and my videos and stuff. Clip so quick. Yes, excellent. Okay, great. So articles coming out on this, they were hearing that President Vladimir Putin is furious with what Joe Biden had to say at that NATO meeting. Most of the people saw that he confused the names of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Most people saw that gaffe. However, what we're hearing is that what he actually had to say about Putin, he was not happy. Russia is not happy. And now we're hearing that Russian President Vladimir Putin is firing back with a warning at Joe Biden over the comments at the NATO summit, as he is saying it was absolutely unacceptable, not happy with what it was that Joe Biden had to say. Now, this comes as Ukrainian President Zelensky, he breaks the silence over Biden's mistakenly calling him President Putin, saying it was a mistake, it's fine. But as I mentioned, Putin not happy with that. Now, this comes as we're hearing today. I'm going to be reading from this article that came out from ABC News and the Associated Press, that China and Russia now have unified, and they have started joint naval drills that are taking place as of today, Sunday, July the 14th, 2024. They're saying it's not for anything specific. However, we're hearing that they are now doing these military drills together, their navies, which is something very similar that we saw not too long ago with Russia and Cuba. So we're starting to see a theme here as Russia is unifying with their allies, doing drills while simultaneously issuing warnings to the West, to NATO, to the United States. Now, this is all going on while also former President Donald Trump, who actually survived an assassination attempt yesterday. If you missed the live coverage, check it out right after this. I covered it live and shared the video footage literally within 15 minutes of it happening. I was hopping on, giving you guys the latest details, and I was actually sharing them as they were developing. So as you watch it, I have more information as it progresses, because we were doing that actually live. But one of the things that's very fascinating is that Trump said that he was going to be solving the war with Russia and Ukraine. He said he would do it as president-elect before he's even sworn into office. He would have that war solved. Now, a lot of people were saying this could just be talk, but what's fascinating is we actually saw responses from Vladimir Putin and also from Volodymyr Zelensky, the presidents of Russia and Ukraine, that both said, we take this quite seriously. And if you have a solution to this war, President Donald Trump, a way to go ahead and end this, please let us know, because we are listening. And what's interesting is we actually just saw the president of Hungary meet with former President Donald Trump, and he came out saying former President Donald Trump is going to solve this war. And he said, and I'm very happy to speak with him, because this is going to be unfolding here. And we actually, I'm going to be sharing with you here in this article, this is going to be linked in the description from Politico. We actually saw the president of Ukraine saying that, listen, some people are better negotiators than others, and they're taking very seriously right now former President Donald Trump negotiating a peace treaty agreement between Russia and Ukraine. So that is unfolding now. Also, simultaneously, though, while Trump is saying he's going to be bringing peace, we're actually hearing that about a week or so ago, President Joe Biden announced $2.3 billion in military assistance to go out to Ukraine to continue the war with Russia and Ukraine. So on one hand, we have former President Donald Trump saying he's going to be putting an end to the war. And then we have Joe Biden sending more funding to continue the war. Now, also very fascinating, listen to this. This just coming out today as well. Russia has a statement on what unfolded yesterday with the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Russia accuses the Biden administration of creating an atmosphere that would provoke an attack on Trump. Wow. Let me know your thoughts. Now, I'm going to share with you the article. This is going to be linked in the description from Reuters. And they say that, listen, they're saying we're not accusing the Biden administration of orchestrating this, but we are saying that with the rhetoric that's been going on against the former president, some of the things that have been tweeted out by Biden and some other Democratic left-leaning members of Congress, that they are stirring the pot and creating an environment where there is actually a rhetoric to do such things as to actually try to assassinate the former president. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree with Russian President Vladimir Putin that the Biden administration is creating this environment, this hate speech, so to speak, against the former president? Or do you disagree? If you agree, put a 1. If you agree that with Russian President Vladimir Putin, that the Biden administration is causing this environment to cause people to hate former President Trump, or put a 2 if you disagree with that statement and you think that he is saying false information. Wow, look at the ones pouring in. A lot of people saying that they agree with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So a lot unfolding in the last 24 hours for sure. It has been absolutely incredible, wild. And I shared with you guys live while that attempt on the former president's life was taken. They're saying, literally, a lot of people were saying that it was within an inch of his life. If you missed it, go check it out right after this. It's on my channel. They're saying that he was moving his head, and he literally moved it within a second of it hitting. And if it would have hit the back of his head, that is what snipers usually try to do, is to get that, I think it's the cerebral cortex, or that part, the very tip back of the head, where they're saying that is definitely going to end someone's life. He moved and it went through his ear. And a lot of people are saying it was God, that was a God moment, that literally, had he not flinched and had it just been 1 inch over, that it would have been the end yesterday for former President Donald Trump. If you believe it was a God thing, put a 3 in the comments. I saw a lot of people saying God had his hand on the former president yesterday, that he really should have probably lost his life. And they said that those sniper shooters, they typically do not miss. That usually, if they have a clear shot, they get it. And they're saying that the way that everything was positioned and unfolded, that should have been a life-ending shot. But it was because of, within a split second, he turned his head and it hit him in the ear. It was that close. Absolutely incredible. Man, if you think it was something else, though, I heard a lot of people speculating a lot of other things. Put a 4 in the comments. I'd be curious to see how many people think that, no, I don't think that was the case. But if you say, no, it was the hand of God and that it was a miracle, it was amazing that former President Donald Trump did not lose his life yesterday, put a 3. Man, so absolutely incredible stuff going on right now. Let me go ahead and share with you the latest, though, on these articles. I'm going to be referencing these. And again, if you guys appreciate these updates, keeping you up to speed on everything, take a quick second for me and hit that like button. Just helps spread this information out further so more people can see exactly what's going on and the latest. And yesterday, I had a lot of people reach out to me. Thank you for the kind words, as people were saying that I literally got the information within 15 minutes of it unfolding with the assassination attempt on the former president. People were saying that here on the channel, I was able to report it literally before a lot of the news media outlets were reporting on it. And it was incredible. And I was just trying to share the information as it came out. I was really happy that we were able to jump on it so quickly and get people the information. They had no idea what was going on, and able to share that he was okay. Sean, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, who thinks Biden was actually really sorry? Man, yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Kim, thank you. She says, fantastic job on everything, Steve. You are very welcome. All right, so I see people saying, 1, they strongly agree with Putin that the rhetoric and the environment that the administration, the current administration, the Biden administration has been putting around the former president is causing these attempts on his life. Some people putting 2, saying no, they don't agree with Russian President Vladimir Putin. And I'm seeing 3s, people saying it was the hand of God yesterday that kept the former president from losing his life. Still haven't seen any 4s. Jeff Shannon, thank you for the $10 super chat, saying thank you, Steve. Thank you. You are awesome. I appreciate the support. And also, I see we got Michael Lansdale in here hitting that join button, becoming a member of the community. Thank you so much for the support, you guys. You are awesome. I will continue to do my best to keep you up to date. And again, all of these are going to be cited in the description for you. But let me go ahead and share with you what has been unfolding. Now, as I mentioned, Biden at that NATO summit addressing what's been unfolding with Russia and Ukraine, accidentally called the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, that gaffe got a lot of attention. Also, in that same speech, he called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. That got a lot of attention too. And Putin said the world is watching and they are laughing at the incompetency of the current administration, Joe Biden. But let me share with you what else he had to say, as he was very upset with the comments that came out from Joe Biden as well. Black Clover, Digi, it looks like maybe digital. Thank you for the $5 super chat. From your perspective of Putin and his revisitation of what delegates first strike, should his statement be considered a possibility of first strike, says Black Clover. Black Clover, he has been saying a lot of stuff. And, a lot of people say that he's bluffing, and a lot of people say that he's not. And we're hearing other countries saying that we should take his threats seriously. Now, from what I'm seeing here, this is just my perspective. I'm not going to say one way or another because I don't really know, but I can tell you this. It seems like at this time, they are moving the pieces into place strategically to set up. And it feels like right now the United States is asleep at the wheel. I don't really know. It feels like unless there's some sort of intervention that will cause peace at this time, it feels like that right now they're strategically planning, because as I've mentioned here several times in the past, you can't just simply attack. You need to be strategic about it in order to pull this off correctly. So I think that's right now what they're currently doing. But let me go ahead and share with you this response. And thank you for that $5 super chat. Russia fires back at Biden over Putin's comments at the NATO summit and says that they are absolutely unacceptable. Russia fired back at President Biden over his comments about Russian President Vladimir Putin during his press conference after the NATO summit in Washington, calling Biden's remarks absolutely unacceptable. We continue to consider it absolutely unacceptable and impermissible behavior for a head of the state to make such disrespectful remarks about other heads of the state, the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said, according to Reuters. I am referring to his remarks about President Putin. In his first solo press conference of the year, Biden said Putin instilled fear in Europe. The president had just concluded days of meetings with international leaders, including allies of Ukraine. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine, Biden said Thursday. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. So this was him talking about Putin. Peskov said that the remark does not make Biden look good. This is something that we pay direct attention to and something that is absolutely unacceptable to us, he said. During his speech, Biden also slammed former President Trump for his relationship that he had with Putin. Shortly before beginning his press conference, Biden mistakenly referred to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as President Putin when introducing him at a NATO event. He quickly corrected himself. Later in his remarks, he accidentally said the second in command was Vice President Trump. Peskov said, listen, the whole world is paying attention to the gaffes of Joe Biden, saying that these mistakes and these slip-ups, other nations are seeing this and how poorly he is doing at this time. Both the NATO summit and the press conference were seen as critical moments for Biden, who faces a growing number of calls for him to step aside and let someone else take on former President Trump in the election this fall. Peskov told reporters that it wasn't Russia's place to have an official comment. They said, it is understandable that they probably received such a wide resonance given the context of this internal political discussion that we are now witnessing in the United States, he said about Biden's gaffes. But it's not our topic. That is an internal U.S. topic that they are dealing with, he said. So saying, listen, that's between the United States and the United States. The United States has got its own problems. They need to deal with that, but not happy with what they had to say about Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, we're hearing that they fired back. This actually coming out today. They're saying that they were not happy. And also, China, Russia start joint naval drills today, Sunday, July 14th, 2024. China and Russia's naval forces, they have kicked off a joint exercise as a military port in southern China on Sunday. Official news agency Xinhua reported days after NATO allies called Beijing a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine. So they are saying right now, NATO is accusing China of being an enabler of Russia in the Ukrainian war. And this is actually exactly what we heard from former President Donald Trump when he said that he was going to be putting an end to the war, and both nations taking him very seriously. He said, listen, what is actually going on is Ukraine could not survive this long if it weren't for the United States funding the war, sending all this money over to support Ukraine, to continue their fight against Russia. But he said the same is actually taking place right now, and it's no secret. NATO and all these other nations are saying it, that China is sending funding to Russia to continue the war as well. And so all we really need to do is figure out a way to have a peace agreement talk between the United States and China to shut off the financial spigots that are funding the war for Russia and Ukraine. And the war will end literally in a matter of weeks. And this is no new news. This is something we actually heard when Tucker Carlson had that interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He had said literally, if the United States stops funding Ukraine, there will be an end to the war within 2 weeks. That's how long Ukraine will last. But we're also hearing the same would also happen if China were to cut off their funding to Russia as well. Now, this article says, coming out from ABC News today, China and Russia's naval forces on Sunday today kicked off a joint exercise at a military port in southern China on Sunday. Official news agencies Xinhua report days after NATO allies called Beijing a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine. The Chinese Defense Ministry said in a brief statement, forces from both sides recently patrolled the western and northern Pacific Ocean, and that the operation had nothing to do with international and regional situations, and they didn't target any third party. However, the United States is on alert of this. And also, we heard the exact same thing with that Russian fleet that made its way down to Cuba. Now, the exercise, which began in Guangdong province on Sunday and is expected to last until mid-July, aimed to demonstrate the capabilities of the navies in addressing security threats and preserving peace and stability globally and regionally. State broadcasters, CCTV reported Saturday, adding that it will include anti-missile exercises, sea strikes, and air defense. Xinhua news agency reported the Chinese and Russian naval forces carried out on-map military situations and tactical coordination exercises after the opening ceremonies in the city of Zhengjing. The joint drills came on the heels of China's latest tensions with NATO allies last week. The sternly worded final communique approved by the 32 NATO members at their summit in Washington made clear that China is becoming a focus of the military alliance, calling Beijing a decisive enabler of Russia's war against Ukraine. The European and North American members and their partners in the Indo-Pacific increasingly see shared security concerns coming from Russia and its Asian supporters, especially China. Now, in a response, China has accused NATO of seeking security at the expense of others and told the alliance not to bring the same chaos to Asia. Its foreign ministry maintained that China has a fair and objective stance on the war in Ukraine. Last week, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter on routine patrol in the Bering Sea also came across several Chinese military ships in international waters, but within the United States exclusive economic zone. So we saw this happening with Russia, sort of intruding near U.S. waters, and now we're also seeing international waters entering into U.S. economic exclusive zones, Chinese military ships as well. American officials have said its crews detected 3 vessels approximately 124 miles or 200 kilometers north of the Amchita Pass in the Aleutian Islands, which mark a separation and linkage between the North Pacific and the Bering Sea. Later, a 4th ship was spotted approximately 84 miles north of that pass as well. And the U.S. side said that Chinese naval vessels operated within international rules and norms, though. Timothy Lorette, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I'm a little late, but personally, I don't think that Biden had any recollection of what went down yesterday. I believe that's way above him, Trump 2024. Thank you for that $5 super chat. And, I think that everything that unfolded yesterday, which was absolutely incredible, and I saw all those threes from people saying that it was the hand of God that kept him safe. I think that after what unfolded, it really riled people up. It just feels like all this stuff that they're throwing at him, he is just going to get more and more support. It's making people feel more emboldened that there are these people that are trying to take him down, trying to end his life because of what he stands for. And I think just the support is growing more and more. And let me know your thoughts. I see we've got 1,700 people in the room with me live. Actually, we just need 20 more likes to get 1,000. That would be awesome. But put a 45 in the comments if you support the former President Donald Trump, and even more so now after what unfolded yesterday. We're hearing that it is just growing in support. It's incredible to think that just 1 inch off yesterday, and we would actually be mourning the loss of the former president. Absolutely incredible. So very thankful that he is still with us today. Now, also, listen to this. We've heard that Trump is going to be solving the Russia-Ukraine war, says Orban. Now, listen to this. This coming out 2 days ago, former U.S. President Donald Trump is going to solve Russia's war in Ukraine, says the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban as of Friday morning. So this was just a couple days ago. This was the day before the assassination attempt. Listen to this. It was an honor to visit President Donald Trump. We discussed ways to make peace. The good news of the day is that he is going to solve it, Orban said. So he is convinced. This happening Friday, the assassination attempt on Saturday, the Hungarian Prime Minister, Orban, saying he is convinced the former president is going to be putting an end to the war with Russia and Ukraine. Orban said this after a meeting with Trump at the 2024 Republican candidate's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Trump agreed with Orban. There must be peace, and quickly, he said. Too many people have lost their lives in this war that should have never even started, he said in a post on the platform Truth Social. The Hungarian president, the Hungarian leader's self-declared Ukrainian peace crusade has now taken high to Kiev, Moscow, Beijing, and the Palm Beach, and included meetings with Ukrainian leaders Volodymyr Zelensky, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Chinese ruler Xi Jinping, and now Donald Trump as well. Fascinating that they decided to go to Donald Trump instead of the current president, Joe Biden. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But Ukraine has not asked Orban for assistance, looking instead to its own peace plan and punishment for Russia for its full-scale invasion, which has now dragged on for nearly 2.5 years. Now, listen to this. With all due respect to all countries, big and small, we have to say that not all leaders can negotiate. You need to have certain powers and strengths for this, Zelensky said while commenting on the Hungarian leader's peace mission during the press conference on Thursday. So, wow, let me know your thoughts. Zelensky saying not all leaders have negotiating skills and abilities, but when the former President Donald Trump says he's going to be ending the war, everybody is listening. Absolutely incredible. Very fascinating as we're hearing former President Donald Trump is trying to broker a peace treaty agreement between Russia and Ukraine. Now, in addition to that, listen to this. And I had a lot of people tell me that they agree with this. This is very fascinating to me. This is from Reuters coming out today. Putin has a statement as to what unfolded. Russia accuses the Biden administration of creating an atmosphere for an attack on Trump, saying essentially indirectly, this is as a result or the fault of the Biden administration and the rhetoric that's been used against the former president. And I actually saw a lot of stuff coming out on this, tweets and other things where they're saying several members of Congress, the administration right now saying we can't have Trump be the president at any cost. He cannot win. Saying things like this, we have to stop him. Some of this language they're using, they're saying is creating an environment, according to Russian President Vladimir Putin, that is anti-Trump and is causing people to want to do assassination attempts like we actually just saw yesterday. Now, listen to this. The Kremlin said on Sunday today that it did not believe that the U.S. administration was responsible for Saturday's assassination attempt on U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump, but accused it of creating an atmosphere that provoked this attack. Trump was shot in the ear during a rally in Pennsylvania in an attack now being investigated as an assassination attempt. The attacker was shot and it ended his life, and law enforcement officials said that they had not yet identified the motive of the shooter. We do not believe that attempt to eliminate and assassinate Trump was organized by the current authorities, the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters. but the atmosphere around candidate Trump provoked what America is confronting today. U.S. President Joe Biden condemned the attack, saying that there was no place for that kind of violence in America. Peskov said Russia condemned the violence, any violence, in the course of the political struggles. Now, his comments echoed those of some of Trump's Republican allies who immediately pinned the blame on Biden. After numerous attempts to remove candidate Trump from the political arena using first legal tools, the courts, prosecutors, attempts to politically discredit and compromise the candidate, it was obvious to all outside observers that his life was in danger, Peskov said. Wow, man. This coming out from Russia. Let me know your thoughts on this. He added that there were no plans for President Vladimir Putin to call Trump in light of this incident. Putin has said that the outcome of the U.S. presidential elections is unlikely to change anything for Russia and that Trump's presidency had damaged U.S.-Russia relations. Now, but the Russian leader has taken a public interest in Trump's statement that he could end the war with Ukraine, saying that he does not know the details, but he supports the idea of ending the war in principle. And we had heard him say, his literal quote was, "I take this quite seriously." And I shared with you the video footage when he actually said that. Now, world leaders, including Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, rapidly condemned Saturday's attack, expressing shock, denouncing political violence, and wishing Trump a quick recovery. So that coming out from Russia, Ukraine, a lot of people seeing this. I've actually got a couple of friends that live in other nations around the world, and everyone's posting about it. It was absolutely incredible. I'm hearing some people say it was a shot heard around the world. Everybody saw what was going on, and a lot of people saying it was only by the grace of God that Trump is still with us today, because it was absolutely incredible what unfolded. And man, and I saw all those threes coming in as people were saying that God was with Trump yesterday. BA Technologies, thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate that a ton. I see you hit that join button. You're a member of the community. As a result, all of these articles are going to be popping up in your feed, and I will continue to keep you guys up to date on everything. I will also have these pinned in the description, but it's just a little extra benefit for those of you that are supporting the channel. Not necessary, but very much appreciated. Now, also, in addition to that, resources pinned in the description, just in case things do begin to intensify. We're hearing that there potentially could be a peace agreement between the former President Donald Trump and Russia, China, Ukraine to end the war. But if things intensify and we do not get there in time and things pop off, you definitely want to be ready. Resources linked in the description for you. Several Amazon links to things to have to be prepared for anything. I've got that for you guys down in the description. And also do me a favor. I see we've got 1,726 people with me live. Please hit that like button. Just need 50 more likes to get 1,300 likes. That would help out the channel. Just spreads this out further. Also, make sure you're still subscribed. I am not really sure what is going on, but I'm getting reports from people every day now saying that they're subscribed to the channel and they're getting unsubscribed. YouTube is unsubscribing people for some reason. So if you're subscribed, make sure that you're still subscribed. Turn on the notification bell to make sure you stay notified as well. But you guys, that is the latest. Thank you so much for joining me. I will keep you guys up to speed on everything. And again, if you missed the live breaking news or the video footage of what unfolded with the assassination attempt on Trump yesterday, check it out. I've got it on the channel, and I will keep you guys up to date on everything. Also on my Instagram, I've got several more updates on that as well. We've got the name of the shooter, where they've got photos and all kinds of stuff. So check out my Instagram as well, SteveRam3. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll be sure to keep you up to date, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.